Shalom. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you hopeful elect Akim pushing out this word in sincerity and in truth throughout the four corners of the earth, fighting this good fight of faith as well. And a sincere shalom to you, Akim and Aqua, for listening and learning, preparing yourselves in these last days. This is Brother Quar from the DC camp. Come back at you with another S.H.I.N.E report, which is episode 11, I believe. S.H.I.N E meaning showing him in news everywhere that him is our Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you know, because he taught us in his word. And we, you know, we see it. And when we see it in the world, we comparing the spiritual things with spiritual and bringing it to you. I'm entitled this one, Inflation, Shortages, and Famine. All right. Now you can see, I typed it here in Google, global supply chain, inflation, shortages, and famine. All right, because all those things go hand in hand. So when you see one thing happen with one, you'll see how it affects the other, man. And ultimately, all this is written in the scriptures. And like the scriptures say, man, the times are going to get bad. This just recently happened. Let me show you this one. This was 10/14. Today is the 16th. Yeah, Biden signs a bill to raise the debt ceiling. All right, which they constantly rising their debt, which a lot of people don't know how it affects them. Okay. It says President Biden on Thursday signed a bill to raise the debt ceiling, averting a default for at least another month. So they just kicking the can down the road, man. You know, it says the House interrupted its scheduled recess and voted early in the day to raise the debt limit in December, into December, Salakia, when lawmakers will again have to raise the ceiling to avoid catastrophic economic consequences. So they got to keep going into deeper and deeper debt unless there is going to be catastrophic economic consequences. Let's see what this says real quick. Look, healthcare payments, debt limit. Look, it will cause, let's see that. Let's see if we can find it. That's why I wanted to see it from in there, because I can't really see the whole thing. Oh, man. All right. It says failing to increase the debt limit would have catastrophic economic consequences. It would cause the government to default on its legal obligations, an unprecedented event in American history that would precipitate another financial crisis and threaten the jobs and savings of everyday Americans, putting the United States right back into a deep economic hole, just as the country is recovering from the recent recession. You see? So what happens when they got to pay in? Now, if you look up what the national debt means to you, they make it so confusing to understand. You know? All right, so this video would explain it, but I'm not going to play this video. You can look that up. You know, just type in what the national debt means to you. So hour and 1 minute 49 seconds. But when you go down, see, it explain it to you to the best of its ability, and you're still not going to be able to get it all, because that's how they do it. You know, that's why the Lord talks about just, weight, and balance. All right, the national debt affects everyone. It says, given that the national debt has recently grown faster than the size of the American population, it's fair to wonder how this growing debt affects average individuals. While it may not be obvious, national debt levels directly affect people in at least 5 ways. All right. Now I want to show you a couple of things. It says, first, as the national debt per capita increases, the likelihood of the government defaulting on its debt service obligation increases. So its debt service obligation increases, and therefore the Treasury Department will have to raise the yield on newly issued Treasury securities to attract new investors. This reduces the amount of tax revenue available to spend on other governmental services, because more tax revenue will have to be paid out as interest on the national debt. over time. Excuse me. Over time, this shift in expenditures will cause people to experience a lower standard of living as borrowing for economic enhancement projects becomes more difficult. See, so it's going to lead to a lower standard of living. So you people don't understand, man. America, the scriptures say they live deliciously, you know, which rubbed off on these people, but it's going to drop real hard, man. It says second, as the rate offered on Treasury securities increases, corporations operating in America will be viewed as riskier, necessitating an increase in the yield on newly issued bonds. This, and which is why a lot of people is moving out of the country. A lot of these jobs, which is going to be worse for you. It says this in turn will require corporations to raise the prices of their products and services to meet the increased costs of their debt service obligations. So that's why products, everything is costing more now, man. It says over time, this will cause people to pay more for goods and services, resulting in inflation. So all this goes hand in hand. So he raising the debt limit is going to help lead to inflation, man. You see that? And then it just keeps going. But that's what I really wanted you to see. Home loans going to be higher, as you can see. Used cars are higher, you know? So that's what's happening here, man. Now, look at that. You got this. There's no shortage of reasons for the global supply chain turmoil, you know? And it says this combination has fueled inflation. You see this, man? All right. All of this stuff, man. I read a little bit, man. I was just trying to. I didn't know exactly where to start. The bad news is that the world supply chain problems are more persistent and more severe than earlier realized. Yeah, they always wrong. They think they the biggest experts, but they always wrong. It says the worst news is that there is no single reason why. Well, we know the reason why. You know, matter of fact, since you want to say that, let me get this real quick. This is second Esdras 16 verse. Wait. Yep, this is second Esdras 16 verse 14. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The earth is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and then power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. All right? So all these things are sent as scourges for amendments. That's the main reason. But you got this thick clay. Like at some point, you didn't think you was going to have to pay up? Let me get that, man. Devil. Let me see. This is Habakkuk 2, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that leadeth himself with thick clay. How long, man? And to him that leadeth himself with thick clay. That debt. You see? Let's keep going a little bit. Yeah, it says, and it says, and the even worse news is that no one really knows when it will improve. It won't. It's going to keep getting bad, and this is what we're here to tell you people. And if you are Israelite, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, you better get with the program, or suffer. It says, as for the good news, it is becoming possible to piece together how it has all come to pass. All right. Yeah. Key centers of the world economy have been hit by a mix of COVID and bad luck, especially in the latter part of this year. Transport, energy, and high quality semiconductor chips are all experiencing big problems at the same time for reasons which are distinct yet broadly related. All right, start with transportation. My bad. Start with transportation. While some Chinese ports have been dormant or operating at reduced capacity because of COVID, that is hardly the only issue. Robust trade in durable goods have constrained containers, ships, and port operations around the world. The price of containers have skyrocketed and can be more than 10 times higher than it was just 2 years ago. A lot of global trade has slowed, with some of it no longer profitable. In some cases, transport-related services are being rationed. As prices are being kept down. Maybe not to alienate loyal buyers, or maybe because sellers are not sure if the current demand shocks are permanent. Again, the net result is a lot of trade simply isn't happening in a timely manner. Many suppliers require internationally traded components to finish the production and distribution of their goods and services. They are now stuck. Furthermore, a lot of activity and related local transportation and labor intensive. Hold up. I'm not going to sit up here and read this whole thing. You know. But that's why these things is happening, man. You know, the fire is already kindled. So it just goes into a few things. I'm not going to read the whole thing. They talking about they're going to straighten itself out. Fuck out of here. All right. Look, nations must be absolutely vigilant about inflation, said the IMF. This was 4 days ago. Or 3 days ago. See? It says, the economic recovery has weakened in most rich nations due to the impact of the Delta variant of coronavirus, the International Monetary Fund says. All right. It says, it also told the BBC inflation will stay elevated for the next few months in the countries like the UK and US, and central banks needed to be vigilant. Okay. Risk increase. The global economy contracted sharply in 2020, but rebounded strongly in the first half this year as countries unlocked. However, in its latest World Economic Outlook, the IMF said momentum had weakened since the highly, they're talking about the Delta variant again, slower growth. All right. All right, that's all I want on that. It was something I was looking for. Okay, here we go. Come on. Food inflation heats up. This is what I want to get into. Okay, it's not going to work for me now. Oh, the internet is acting stupid. Satan. Okay. Right when I'm doing the lesson, right? Here we go. It's back on. Soaring food prices drive hunger around the world. This was a day ago. Now, I also want to show you guys this video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, and I don't own the rights. It's just straight for, economic purposes. It says Americans are going to be absolutely shocked by the empty shelves that they see. Let me just play a little bit.
Many Americans thought things would be getting back on track by now. But instead, what we have is an economy plagued by rampant inflation and broken supply chains. For months, industry experts have been alerting about the worsening supply chain crisis, but our leaders underestimated the severity of the problem. And now, U.S. consumers are about to get absolutely shocked by the shortages they will see. Instead of announcing a resolution, the White House just openly admitted that there will be significant shortages this holiday season and warned that supply chain problems are not going to get better anytime soon. Most Americans have never experienced such extensive shortages, and it's safe to say that the younger generation never even dreamed that they were possible. After all, we're the richest country on the planet, not only in wealth, but also in resources. However, as problems have been overlooked, despite the series of warnings that have been made throughout the past year, the worst is yet to come, and the painful shortages and price increases we have gone through so far were just the beginning. The White House would ordinarily try to spin any negative story to make it positive, but there's nothing they can say to hide the fact that there are widespread shortages all over the country. And at this point, even the mainstream media is commenting on the government's lack of action to tackle this crisis. According to the Daily Mail, White House officials are warning American shoppers that they won't be able to get key items like popular kids' toys for Christmas due to the ongoing supply chain nightmares that are strangling retail stores. When the corporate media starts to pay attention to our real issues, we know that things are already getting out of hand. In fact, the report even says that stores across the country are becoming increasingly barren thanks to a series of bottlenecks in the global supply chain, and that White House officials warn that Americans will face higher prices and empty shelves this holiday season. Right?
So that's all I'm gonna play. I would advise you watch the whole video. Like I said, this is from Epic Economist. Americans are going to be absolutely shocked. And you heard what it said that the leaders underestimated this thing, and that's why people not going to regard them, man. What's that? Let me get that real quick. I'm trying to think of which one. I know it's second Esdras. Yeah, man. The government was supposed to be there to you know, to govern you so that these things don't happen, that you pay them the taxes. But now look, there's a second Esdras 15. I'm gonna start at 14. Second Esdras 15, verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." You know, so they're gonna have to do what they gotta do to survive, man. That's what's happening. Oh, I'm gonna keep going. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, their houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." And this place is the most proud place, man. You ain't think it was gonna happen to you. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation," man. And you got that's why all these mandates and things is a recipe for disaster, man, because now people are not going to be working. And what are they going to do when all this stuff starts to rise and they can't feed their families, man? They're going to take it out on their fellow neighbor, if you will. you know? So it's like I said, it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse, man. You know? And hey, man, a righteous man is going to see it and foresee this stuff and hide themselves. And it's only one way you're going to hide yourself. You see? Now, soaring food prices drive hunger around the world. I wanted to see if they had like a little chart. You know? 2.37 billion people in the category of food insecure. Oh, they don't got no chart on here. So you have to read it, you know, to show the different percentages. A 32% rise in the price of food has a profound impact on the poor, especially the poor in underdeveloped countries. A majority, and they always talk about the countries, but it's poor in every country, so they're gonna be hit the worst. It says a majority of the population will spend somewhere from 40 to 60% of household income on food. The poorest 20% of the population in the United States spent from 30 to 40% of household income on food. Rising prices either mean an inability to pay rent and other expenses or cuts in the quality and overall calories of the food consumed. So it's going to have major implications, man. You know? And that's because of this wicked system that you're in, man. Look, they even is talking about rising food prices are a critical contributing factor in the growth of world hunger over the past year. Rapidly mounting inflation and the disruption of the supply chain networks of global capitalism are driving up the prices of all basic consumer goods. The U.S. Information Authority reported that nearly half of all U.S. households who will use natural gas to heat their homes will pay an average of 30 to 50% more this winter for heating than last year. Wow. You know? Oh, man. Look at this, man. So even energy has something to do with that. You know? Inflation rises 5.4% from a year ago, matching the 13-year high. Look, this problem is not going to go away, man. You know? Accelerating inflation spreads through the economy. Higher inflation weighs on Fed's policy starts to have a broader impact on cost of living, wages, and social benefit programs, man. Yeah, because all them programs they're going to cut. All right? Now let's get into a couple of little more scriptures, man. Go back to 16. This is second Esdras 16. I read 18 again. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils shall come? That's what you should be asking yourself. It says, behold, famine and plague and tribulations and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of those scourges. And a lot of you people, even though these things is happening, you still ain't being mindful, man. It says, behold, victuals shall be good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Yeah, just a year ago, thought everything was cheap. But the evils is going to continue to grow as they have. The sword, famine, and great confusion, man. And when you go into great confusion, there's a scripture. What is it? Luke. 1 second while I pull it up. Luke 21:25, it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So that's what we're seeing, that perplexity, great confusion. They don't know. We don't know how these things came about. It says, 2nd Esdras 16, verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Salakia. So ain't no getting out of this, man. And like that video said, you're going to be shocked. All right? This is 2nd Esdras 6:22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whoso remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world, the end of Esau's world, man. So all you got that got this little pipe dream, you so-called Christians that think that you're not gonna have to be here for that. That's a lie. All right, you're gonna have to see this. All right. They always talk. You look at the Christians. They believe the third seal. They interpret it as the great famine. Where it's going to be that food supply. So it's in the scriptures, man. It's all through the scriptures. Now, it was so a couple of examples of when there was a food shortage in the scriptures, man. You got Second Kings. All right, it says Second King. I'm just get straight to the point. Second Kings. Damn. Oh snap. Before I get that, because it said friends shall fight. Uh, friends shall fight against one another like enemies. This is one of the reasons. Second Esdras 15:19 says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword." All right, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So because this tribulation, man, people gonna show their true colors, man. That's why people gonna go to their own like, return to their own kind. You know. But this is 2 Kings 6:25. It says, "And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver." So a dove's dung, that how small that is? All right. Fourth part of a cab of dove's dung. Cab, whatever that is. It's a measure of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. That's a lot of money for some shit. That's not even lawful. All right, an ass's head, a donkey's head they eating for 80 pieces of silver. So 80 pieces of silver. That's inflation, man. They says like the shortage is gonna be so bad that a day's wages will pay for just one person's food that day, man. You know? That's the times that we living in, man. All right? There's another one. Lamentations 4 verse 10 says, "The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children." You know? They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people, man. And so our people even ate their own children, man. That's how bad the famines got. So you better take heed to this warning, man. Because we hiding ourselves. Because the scriptures say that I'll get it real quick. This is Isaiah 65 and 13. Let me go back. It says, "Therefore thus saith Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed," man. So these people that ain't outside of the covering of the Lord, you want to take covering, you want to trust in oppression, this devil, then you're going to be hungry in those days, man. The Most High promised that we will eat. Just like he fed the Most High promised not only to supply Elijah with the water from that brook, that flowed through the ravine, but also the meat each morning and evening, man. Long story short, with that, he was fed twice daily by a flock of ravens, man. So the Lord can make it happen. And we was in the wilderness, he used Moses to have water come from a rock. So you got to believe in these things. Faith is a requirement, as we say, man. That's in the scriptures. Without faith, it's impossible to please the Lord, man. And that's when he will protect you. If you doubt, then you won't be protected, man. But these things is coming, man. Okay? So, hey, when you look at, like I said, you look at the supply chains, the disruptions causing these shortages, they all go hand in hand, man. All right? So, though they signing a little bill, they ain't helping you. In fact, it's worse. All right, so with that, Lord willing, it was edifying. Until the next lesson, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash. I want to say shalom.